talking like you think you're royalty. You think that I'm afraid, but I don't break. I heard you question my stability. You think I'll fall just like a guillotine, but I am here to stay. Won't look away. The storm is coming, so you better start running. No, you can't control, feel it in my bones. I'm coming for the, coming for the. I'm coming for the throne. Coming for the throne. So you wanna be my enemy? You should've known I'd never kiss the rain. Ice runs in my veins, won't play it safe. I don't belong with your nobility. Who died and made you king of anything? You think that I'm insane? It's your mistake. Kingdoms rise and fall. I've come to take it all. I'll take it. I've come to take it. Kingdoms rise and fall. I've come to take it all. So you better start running. No, you can't control, feel it in my bones. I'm coming for the, coming for the. I'm coming for the throne. Coming for the throne.
Let's go. Yo, I'm like an addict, do I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it, fuse like a magnet. Lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket. I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same. Cause that's what it takes.
I take shots to the top, I'll get it. I got one life, I'ma do all to win it. I
never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same, cause that's what it takes.
All right, guys, welcome. Happy Sunday. Cheers, everybody. How about that Deadpool and Wolverine box office? I just posted a video. It took a while to upload right before we came live. We'll go over some of the numbers in that video tonight, but please go watch that too, just for the view, if nothing else. Cheers. Grab your drinks, grab your smokes. I just starting the relaxing part of my day. Let's bring some of the guests in tonight. We have two guests I see in the back room. Let's bring in the monkey tamer. Mediocre, what's going on, amigo?
What's up?
Where's our buddy Rolf tonight, the lawnmower man?
I don't know. I haven't talked to him all weekend. I've been busy.
I have another surprise guest for you tonight. Our good friend and fellow AMC supporter, Mega Bull. Let's roll his intro and we'll get him. I see him in the back room there.
I also like to live dangerously.
Mikey, how you doing, amigo?
Good, that makes me crack up.
Gonna turn me into a Mega Bull with these dang box office numbers. How about that?
I'm doing my best, just magically making good box office happen, I guess.
Woo! Did you see the movie yet?
No, going this week Wednesday with the whole family. Whole family wants to see that one, so they're super hyped up about it.
What? How old is your youngest, or how young is your youngest?
14. So
14,
he'll be good with it. Yeah.
Mike, I'm hearing Christians are saying we shouldn't go see this movie.
Yeah. Well, Christians need to relax a little bit. It's just a movie.
Apparently, now I saw it on Thursday. I saw it on Thursday. There is a bit of cursing, guys. If you're not familiar with Dead fucking Pool, there's a little bit of cursing. So if that's going to hurt your little ears, don't go see this movie. If you're a little bit squeamish, don't go see this movie. There's plenty of blood. But that's what I was there for. I wanted to laugh, wanted to see some action and violence, and boy, did it deliver. I'm not going to do any spoilers, Mike, don't worry, but you're going to enjoy it.
So it lives up to the hype then?
Yeah, I'm ready to go see it again. I went by myself because my wife had to work that day. And I asked her a month ago, do you want me to get you a ticket? I had mine reserved for 6 weeks. The day one you could reserve it way back when. And I wanted to ask her plenty early, do you want the seat next to me? And she said, she didn't really care. So and we didn't know her work schedule 6 weeks ago anyways, but she didn't go. But I think we're going to rewatch this week Deadpool 1 and 2. and maybe a few others, and then I'll take her because she's just not going to get the whole context. It is helpful, not required, but it's helpful if you have some context of the universe before you go in and watch the movie. Definitely not required, though. It's still just a fun ride by itself.
Even my old lady, she's not big into the nerdy stuff like the superhero movies, but Deadpool is the one she likes because it's funny, and then she likes Ryan Reynolds, and she follows him on Instagram and thinks he's hilarious. So I think that kind of ties
he's so funny. He's such a perfect Deadpool. Chris says he's having gin and tonic. Cheers, Chris. Chris. Mediocre. Mike, cheers.
Cheers.
I see a couple of folks in the comments because I was saying in the comments that I just published my video, which goes over what the box office looks like, what the newspaper, the news rags said about the movie. Do you guys want to go over that real quick? And in my spreadsheet, a little bit of dreaming about how we're going to end up this Q3. Maybe let's put that up here real quick. Let's put up the box office numbers. Hopefully you guys are aware of this. Is there anybody that doesn't know the weekend box office already?
I didn't look yet.
All right. Fair play.
I'll say that. I didn't look yet. But I'd imagine it's got to be good because we got Bullish Mike in here. And
let's see. I forget which one of these doesn't have the echo. I think it's this. If I do Chrome tab, I think we don't get the echo. So here's what we're looking at for the weekend. Let me make this a little bit bigger. 276 million for this weekend.
Nice.
Of that,
it's like half of February.
Yeah, it's the biggest weekend so far this year, first of all. It's almost as big as the combination of Barbie and Oppenheimer.
No, I think there was an Inside Out weekend that was over 300. I think that one was one that was bigger.
Deadpool and Wolverine alone, 205 million, with Twisters and Despicable Me rounding out the top three. That is just absolutely fantastic. The other numbers that I wanted to show you guys, and I think I need to change tabs on my screen share. So let me do that. Get rid of that one. You guys aren't hearing any echo, right?
No. But I am thinking about that popcorn bucket from Deadpool, though.
They're all gone, buddy. You're going to have to go on eBay and buy it for a couple $100.
I know.
Opening weekends, the biggest opening weekends ever. Avengers Endgame. This is all ratings. Avengers Endgame holding number one. Deadpool and Wolverine now landed its place in history at number 8, guys. Number 8 opening weekend ever. And that record has been it's been held since this is the first update to this chart, let's say it that way, since 2021 with Spider-Man No Way Home. December 2021 booked 216 million. So Deadpool on the board now, first on the board in 4 years, 205 million. This is the biggest of all ratings. Now what I want to show you is the biggest R ratings, and that would be top opening weekends by MPAA. Guess who is at number 1?
Really? Wow.
Deadpool and Wolverine just set a world record for domestic R-rated movie opening weekend. And funny enough, Deadpool and Deadpool 2, Deadpool and Deadpool 2 were previously 1 and 2. It almost freaking doubled them.
Richie's been saying that. He's been driving me crazy.
But movies are dead, depending on who you listen to. Mike, what do you say? What do you say, Mike?
Yeah, it's a dying industry where every year, even when we have a reduced slate, like records will be broken on weekend openings and R-rated movies and stuff. So sure,
Mike,
sure.
talk to us for a second about number of movie releases this year compared to what we're used to historically before 2019. Share your knowledge.
Yeah, so I know. Well, I could go back to 23. So 23, we were under 600 wide releases within the theaters, and pre 2019, we were getting just over 900. Now this year with the strike impacted, so a lot of the box office, about 60 or 70% of the box office is built off of your tent poles and your blockbusters. So the problem with this particular year is the tentpole numbers are down by about, I think, 5 to 8 when you look at the full year compared to what's a normal year. But now you're starting to get your mid-range movies starting to creep back up. And as you look into the future in 25 and 26, you have a full tentpole slate, and then you have production going full bore to fill in those smaller and mid-tier movies. So I think the number of wide releases from 23 to 24 might be about neutral, but I think that's when you're going to start seeing a big increase in it in 25 and 26.
That's what I think, Mike. There's not enough chatter and not enough people that understand this. I mean, I see some YouTubers, oh, the box office is horrible. Yeah, we're still coming off the pandemic, and you don't need to believe me, and you don't need to believe Mike, and you don't need to believe Adam Arno. You could listen to Cinemark or IMAX or any of them. They're all still talking about it. I heard, what's his name? Is it Richard G? I don't know how to say his last name. The IMAX CEO still talking about it this week on his earnings call. And he's saying finally, starting next year into 2026, we're finally going to start getting back to some sort of regular production. So let's hope so.
You could even click on the yearly tab there, Tony, to see the full releases, the number of wide releases per year. And the thing is, so you have your 10 polls, right? Like look at 910 versus
900.
Yeah. But your movies that make like under 100 million or, average 50 million, that's 40% of your domestic box office.
Yeah.
So when those aren't there, that's like a massive hit. So as much as it's great to have big Deadpool and Wolverines, you need a full content slate.
We need
last weekend, me and the old lady went to.
Not everybody wants to see a Deadpool, right? But there are other movies that just aren't there that will be in coming years.
Sure.
Yeah, like last week for a date night, me and the old lady went to go see Maxine. We caught it at the tail end of its run. We watched the first two movies on Amazon beforehand because we never caught them in theaters.
Yeah,
like let's go see something different. And we weren't in the mood for the big twisters movies or the big effects one. We just kind of wanted to see something, smaller, no CGI and stuff like that. So when you have those options, then you draw those other people, you draw that extra 30-40% box office out.
That's why I'm not bearish. And I mostly just ignore the bears when they say, oh, movies are never going to come back. I think they mostly have good intentions, but they don't really understand what they're talking about, Mike, because they're not looking at the fact that just the number of releases are down. And that's not because Hollywood wants to make less money. It just takes a while to get the machine up and running again. And then you have that end of 2023 actors and writers strike impact, and nobody was anticipating that. And so this is a play of patience to get back up there.
And I'm not delusional either. It's not like I don't think that YouTube or streaming doesn't have an impact on people's viewing habits. You might not go see as many movies, but this idea that you're going to go from, like I said, the 3 years pre-pandemic, they sold about 1.25 billion tickets domestically. The idea that all of a sudden it's going to drop by 400 million tickets through COVID when the box office hasn't even recovered and it's going to stay there and the industry's going to die. It's crazy. Like it's up double-digit percentages year over year. And if it wasn't for the strike, they're already saying by 25 we'd be back up to pre-pandemic numbers. But now we had a strike pushback, so maybe that got pushed to 26. But those numbers and that production's coming. And until you see some sort of leveling off of the domestic box office or some giant event happens where no one's going to movies anymore, which I just haven't seen.
We're seeing the opposite, right? We're seeing the streamers struggle. We're seeing the opposite of what people have been predicting.
Yeah, like the only guy that's making money is Netflix. Everyone else is bleeding cash. Disney Plus, like, and they're all shifting money away from the serial TV that they're making that's not getting any viewers. And, you know, like look at Inside Out 2, guaranteed 100-day box office for Inside Out 2. They knew they had a winner and they know where the money's coming from. And it's not coming from shipping it directly to streaming.
Yep.
There's other data out there too. If you really want to get into it, there's some guys that I follow. There's one guy, he's on Twitter. I'll share his link with you one time, but he has a pay site, like a pay Substack. But I guess he used to work in the industry for Netflix, and he tracks the data. And he's like, it's crystal clear. Yeah, I will. And he says it's crystal clear that movies that go theatrical do better streaming numbers because it's like free advertisement. It gets out into the culture. There's something about that theatrical release and everything it does that makes the impact on the streaming numbers better. So he's, you know, he did all the data. He kind of canceled for like the size of the movie and the type of the movie and stuff like that. He says it's crystal clear that the theatrical has a big impact on that media consumption for people. And the studios got to know this. They have more data than us.
Let's roll this weekend, 276 million. I think some people that were poo-pooing the 700 million we were at on Thursday had no idea what was headed their way because they don't cover movie stocks and they thought they were going to take a dunk on AMC. Look at these poor movie theaters, only 700 million. You don't know the tsunami that was headed your way. We're now almost at 1.1 billion in 3 days. And I think we will end up over 1.1 billion by the end of this month. We only need 32 million in 3 days to get over 1.1 for July, Mike.
You'll probably get a $40 million Tuesday with those weekend numbers. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think it's given all the movies that are out there, 30 million in 2 days is probably doable. And everybody who couldn't see it over the weekend is going to go try on Monday through Thursday of this week.
Well, even look at all the other stuff that's open, getting away from Deadpool. Like Twisters opened to 80 million, which was double the original Twisters, and even accounting for inflation, it had a bigger opening. Bad Boys did great. All the movies in July, when the summer viewership happens, open phenomenally well, open better or at expectations. I don't think once we got out of that kind of rough patch through April and May, everything's been opening better or at least at expectations. So obviously the movie going demand is there when the product is there, right?
I went over this in my video and we went over it briefly last night. The movies, I track, Mike, all the wide releases, and in this left-hand column, this is kind of my estimate of what the domestic box office is going to be. And I try and be very conservative, so I'm not artificially giving people false expectations. If it came in higher than my estimate, then I color it here in the actual column green. And if it came in under my estimate, it's that reddish pink color. So you can kind of see what my track record is. I had Deadpool and Wolverine conservatively at 350 million for the entire run. Like, what is that going to be? 6 weeks, 8? It's already at 205 in 3 days. So I know we're going to beat that number.
It opened bigger than Barbie, and Barbie did 600 million domestic. So
so we'll beat 350.
It's going to be a steamroller, that movie, all through August.
And there's some good movies in August, but not, this was the last huge one until September. We got Trap. I'm looking forward to that one. I hope it beats 50 million. We got Borderlands. Some people have really big expectations. The talk on it in the industry is like meh, but I'm looking forward to watch that one, and I hope it exceeds what I have here. We got Alien Romulus mid-August, which could be really cool.
Yeah,
which one?
Over, it ends with us too. That's It Ends With Us. So that's kind of like a 50 Shades of Grey. That's a female-centric novel that apparently is massively popular. Maybe talk to your wife about it; she might know about it. So it's not going to do blockbuster numbers, but that'll probably do solid numbers with the female audience.
I
didn't know
have it
about
at
that
15. If it does 30, 40, or 50, that's a win, you know?
Yeah. And the thing is, if you look at the August in 2023 and look at August this year, every weekend in August this year, there's a movie that has potential to open to 50. And in August last year, it was almost barren. It was Barbie and Oppenheimer carried that whole month, right?
We got Blink Twice, The Forge. We got The Crow, which, you know, I have it forecast really low, but that's an easy beat if people like it. We got the Reagan biography. Beetlejuice is, I think, a high potential to beat. If I have it colored orange, I think there's a potential to beat my number. In September, we got Beetlejuice, Transformers, and a Brad Pitt and Clooney movie at the end of the month. So 2 billion is my conservative wide release only, not counting all the limited releases. What'd you say, Mike? Those are 40%?
Yeah, no. So, no, movies under 150 million. So those would be wide releases. Your limited releases, I've done some research on that. So say if you take out if you put in all your wide releases, including your smaller movies, 10 or $20 million, your limited releases usually account for about 5 to 8% on top of that. So you could always add that fudge factor in.
With limited releases and my expectations for beat off of my forecast here, I'm thinking that we come in around between 2.4 and 2.6 billion domestic for Q3. Does that kind of line up with where you're at? What are you thinking?
Yeah. And you could probably quote me from the last live stream. I was kind of like, I think Q2 does worse. I think Q3 does about the same. I'm talking in comparison to last year. And I think Q4 blows the socks off Q4 of last year.
Remind me what we did on Q3 last year.
Q3 we did about 2.6 as well.
All right, so you're in.
So I think
you're basically in agreement with me.
Yeah. I think there's more of a potential to beat, though. I think 2.4 to 2.6 is decent to maybe a little bit conservative. I think you got a chance at 2.7 or 2.8.
I pride myself on being conservative. I have people DM me, Mike, Tony, I'm telling people 3 billion. You know, I think it's going to hit 3 billion, and I say, you have your numbers, I have mine. God bless us all, and I hope you're more right than me. I'd love to see 3 billion.
That would take like something like Beetlejuice and one of the movies in August just absolutely blowing up.
Mike, I got people. I got people giving me death threats for even talking about box office. So God forbid I say 3 billion. Then
there's a chance of everything, but I think 3 billion's a far outside chance.
Let's look at how this looks in terms of potential revenue. So hopefully you guys can see this. This is our Q2, the one we just finished, and I have plugged in based on what AMC told us in their preview last week. I already did a video going over that. So we're going to focus on these two columns here, which give you a range between domestic box office of 2.4 billion to 2.6. And then in my spreadsheet, I need to make a guess what percentage of that domestic box office goes to AMC, because you know we got competitors, right? We're 2.4, 2.6. I'm saying a third of it, less than a third, 30% goes to AMC. You can look back here in the past. We've had as high as 32.9, as low as 27.8, and so on. It goes back. But, 30% is a good, I think, realistic number. That would give, all we care about is what is the bottom line. I've already adjusted all of these numbers in here based on most recent stats, updated depreciation, etc., interest, etc. Operating profit in both these cases, if we hit these numbers, should be positive around 80 to 125 million bucks, Mike. Operating profit. Then we got to take out certain other expenses like interest. And we end up with a net profit of between 5 and 42 million positive net profit per share, assuming that the float stays around 361 million, between a penny and 12 cents. Positive all the way around. You want to see something even better, Mike? Do you guys really want to dream for a second? I think this is a good conservative estimate, but let's say, look back here in Q1, 32%.
Yeah, just so you know, Tony, even though you're the Super Bowl, your numbers are actually more aggressive than mine. I still have us break even around 2.5 billion.
Well, I made some adjustments, Mike.
2.4.
I made some adjustments to depreciation, which dramatically changed these numbers. So go look at the depreciation AMC just reported for Q2, and you might want to adjust your numbers.
Yeah, it's going to keep dropping every quarter too.
Right.
Like that super high depreciation amortization number came up when they did all the purchasing and the expansion. And so their D&A costs were massive, and they've almost been dropping yearly. If you follow,
I'll keep on tweaking my numbers. I mean, we're 2 months away from the end of the quarter, so I reserve the right for this to be incorrect. Let's get that straight. We're way early in the quarter, but and sometimes I go through all these like, you need to fix this one number, but I spent a little bit of time today looking at it. I feel pretty good about these, but let's say this comes in and we capture 32% of that total box office. Now we're talking 30 to 70 million dollars net profit with a 9 to 19 cent EPS. Still not too shabby.
Tony, I've made my spreadsheets independently of yours, and it's good verification because all the numbers that we're using to do these calculations look like they're within percentage points of each other. And even when I was looking at the Q2, I agreed. I saw some of your other videos that earnings number didn't make sense. But when you add that 88 million or whatever it was for the debt, the
gain,
debt number, then all of a sudden my numbers, I was within 30 million on revenue, and I was within 15 million on bottom line earnings.
We had 82 million gain on extinguishment of debt, and we had a one-time gain, the 19 million from shareholder litigation, which I don't even know what that is. Like, how did AMC make 19 million? Maybe it was money they had reserved that they had to pay out that they brought back in. I don't know, but we'll see.
Could have won a case, and then they got forced. They got expenses paid back to them or something.
Yeah, we'll find out the details on that when we get the 10Q. But together, it was like $102 million, is what I know.
But it's really not a complicated operation sheet, because you can kind of de facto use the domestic box office and figure out like a lot of these numbers within a couple percentage points, right? So as long as you got a rough idea of what future domestic box office is going to be, it's you're going to tell whether AMC is profitable or not profitable.
That's what I love about. That's what I love about analyzing and investing or trading in this business is we can predict we're just dumb YouTubers, Mike. We're just dumb retail traders on Twitter, and we can predict. I was within 3% accuracy of forecasting AMC's numbers on over $1 billion of revenue. I predicted it more accurately, and you did too, I'm sure, than the cash balance, than professional analysts. If you're paying attention to this every day, you can trade this thing on reasonably accurate estimates. If you're trading on emotion or listening to the wrong people, you're going to fuck up.
It's mind-boggling the analysts have not updated their models for the last 12 quarters because they've just been getting smoked by, like you said, guys on YouTube with a spreadsheet figuring out what their earnings are going to be once they have the domestic box office. Like, they're absolutely smoked.
Chris says, how's the 2025 movie lineup looking? Here's all I've done for 2025 is I've looked at industry experts' forecasts for what the total box office is going to be. And I'm using that. I already have 2025 and 2026. They're hidden in my spreadsheet. I have them already forecast. I already know what we're going to do if we meet those numbers. I don't show it because people are going to say I'm pumping the stock. They're so damn good. So I don't show it. I don't even know if my Discord's seen it. Maybe Mediocre's probably seen it.
I
But
have. I don't talk to nobody about your stuff. It's
If you just want to look at potentials in tentpole, go watch a IMAX earnings call and look what IMAX has on the slate for 25 and 26. And if you don't get excited, I don't know, you don't like movies.
You don't like money. The other reason, it's not super safe to talk about it is we're talking a year or two out. And look, I could tell you, here's what I think, and then anything could happen not related to AMC or the industry, another or
it's a long time away,
Right. It's a long time away. And what's going to happen? Someone's going to blame me because they're a dumbass. And they're always looking for someone else to blame. Oh, well, he said it, so I want to hold him accountable. They don't see the little disclaimers. They don't realize we're just providing our best estimate because we do this all damn day looking at these numbers.
I mean, what's going on with the writers again.
That's why you diversify, right, Tony? Because a Meteor could hit the Gigafactory in Texas for Tesla.
Yeah. I'm very upfront about that. This is not the majority of my investment.
Always planned and movies get released and there's massive strikes.
It's still a money-losing company. You got to make sure you have a diversified portfolio. And this is a speculative play until it's not. And so you should size your risk appropriately. And all the other stuff that the other channels talk about, the billions of synthetic shares, we don't talk about that here. If you want to gamble on all of that, go hold them accountable if that doesn't work out. I'm going to make my bet based on the numbers because these have been very accurate and the price is done pretty much exactly what we would expect based on Wall Street analysis. Mediocre, what do you think? Sorry, I've been talking a lot.
I think I'm going to keep selling puts.
Yeah.
So you're selling puts to try and get an entry.
Easy to figure out, and
just being a smart ass,
but it's easy to figure out too.
Mediocre is trying to piss the trolls off. He said the P word. God. Mediocre. Should we talk about puts, and reverse splits?
Whatever you want to talk about, Tony. I don't give a shit.
I want to have some fun with these goofballs. So yeah, I don't know if you saw my video, Mike, or the live last night. Mike's walking away. Can you still hear me, Mike?
He gave up on us.
He disappeared. I'm out of here. They're talking about puts and reverse splits. See ya.
I'm looking for an entry, seriously though. So
Teja says,
"Yeah, I can hear you, Tony. Sorry, I just had to get a drink."
That's fine. Teja says, "I'm curious why AMC is keeping so much cash going into Q3." So, I mean, for a business their size with uncertainty, $600-700 million is not a lot. They've had less, but it's still not a profitable company. So you want to have a comfortable cushion and to be just more upfront about it. The more cash they have, the easier it is for them to get a refinancing deal on their debt because that is safety collateral and the lenders like to see that. And we knew that they were trying to restructure that debt, right? The more cash on the balance sheet, the better prospect AMC is to a lender. That's a simple way to think about it. Beyond that, it's a safety net if something bad were to happen in a quarter. You don't want to go have a shutdown situation and only have $200 million in the bank.
Yeah, the speculation that I would make, they seem to want to keep between about $600 to $800 million cash on the sheet right now. And I think that doesn't change until you get trailing 12 months earnings positive, where they're
I think that's
bringing in
a fair guess.
cash on the regular for a year, and the movie industry is in full bore. I think they keep that level of cash at least until that time, and then maybe they drop it down after that. They're more comfortable. They stick to 4 or 6 or something like that. But I think for now, that's what we're looking at.
Here's one other thing. Let me pull up one other chart. And guys, I have a playlist on my channel called Educational Videos. And maybe a year ago, I made a video on what is working capital. And I made it just for you guys that are in AMC, because AMC has a horrible working capital situation. And so let's look about why they might want to have so much cash on the balance sheet. And there are a lot of ratios and things on the balance sheet that Wall Street looks at and cares about that we're not doing so hot on. And working capital, I think it's going to be on the bottom of the balance sheet. Negative $590 million. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, but you can make it bigger if you can.
So working capital for AMC right now, even with 770, well, it was 660 of cash on the balance sheet, is negative $590 million. Now, a year ago, when I was complaining about AMC saying why they needed to raise more cash, look how bad we were here. Negative in 2019, negative 1.2 billion, negative 1 billion, negative 700 million, negative 429.
You know what's happening though, Tony?
It's getting better as they raise cash and pay off the debt.
Absolutely.
It's getting better. So what working capital is, if you're not really into finance stuff, it's really very easy. We just look at total assets. Oh man. Total assets minus total liabilities. I can't scroll. Here we go. Total assets for AMC. Is this right? That number seems high. 8.5 billion. Total liabilities, 10.5 billion. Something seems off on these numbers. Oh, sorry, my bad. It's current minus current, isn't it? I'm looking at shareholder equity. Total current assets, 913. Let's fix this. Sorry, I've been doing shareholder equity videos all weekend. So this is what we're looking at. 913, which includes your cash, minus 1,500. 900 million minus 1.5 billion gives you your working capital negative 590 million. That's not great when you're analyzing a company as an outside investor, an analyst, a bank, to see negative working capital. Working capital is your cash available to pay bills over the next 12 months. We're in the hole. They have ostensibly more liabilities than they do assets.
So Tony, where do they get the money then to keep the doors open if they're in the hole?
Well, they raise money or they bring in profits.
How do they raise money, Tony?
There's only 2 ways to raise money, Mediocre. Take out more loans, which is going to screw up the other part of your balance sheet, the long-term liabilities, or you go to the secondary market, to us, and say, would you like to buy some more stock? AMC is not in a position to raise money through more debt. They can restructure their existing debt, but they are not in a position to go take down more debt.
The only
So
reason
the
why I
only
bring
way
that up-
this company avoids bankruptcy is more movies or raise money by dilution. You
and
don't do
the reason
those
I
two
brought that up,
things.
Tony, is because on the sheet right there, it's clear that we've been dropping over time, and the reason we've been dropping is because of the dilution that we've paid into. I just
Yep.
want people to relate that together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and this number is going to be even better when they report on August 2nd. The working capital should be reduced probably another $100 million, I would imagine.
I'm not saying dilution is
Yeah,
good
I
for
think the
shareholders.
golden
That's not
point
what
to
I'm
get
saying.
in is to get in when. Yeah, I
I'm
think the
saying that
golden point
clearly
to get
it's
in is
good for
when.
the company.
Hold
The
on.
company-
Let Mediocre go, then Mike.
What I was saying is it's clear that dilution hurts a shareholder, right? But you can see just based on the information that it is the dilution that we have already went through helped the company, right? We wouldn't be where we are if they didn't dilute. I just want people to understand that, right? Because nobody's talking about that, Tony. They don't talk about it.
Well, what they do, Mediocre, is when we try and explain this, they then blame us and say we're saying dilution is good. They totally twist what we're saying. What we're saying is if you don't raise cash, you will go bankrupt. This is not even debatable. I have had now for over a year open invitation to any CPA or finance professional to come on here, not some Yahoo on Twitter that don't know his ass from a hole in the ground, a CPA or a finance professional. You guys, you Yahoos can go find one, show me his credentials. I'll bring him on here live and he can explain to me how this company never had a bankruptcy risk.
I mean, I'm sure Mike doesn't disagree with anything we just said there.
What do you think, Mike?
No. Like what I think right now, I think that golden entry point is going to be where you get in and they're paying, the dilution's done and they're paying debt down through operations. And
That's
that could
what
be
we're
now.
that's what we're carefully waiting on right now.
Or maybe it's not now. Maybe they have to do another dilution to refinance the 800 million left or whatever the case may be, or some more debt for equity. But that's going to be the point. And I think, well, I guess it's partly speculation, but looking at the box office, as long as a Meteor doesn't hit or some craziness happens, we're approaching that point if we're not there already. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
The problem
And
is
then really
people
the
get in
end
this.
game.
The problem is people
Yeah,
get in this mindset of I'm going to dime in hand no matter what, and they never once looked at this stuff. And then they get mad when the company needs to dilute. But of course, you're going to be mad from not understanding it if you never looked at the balance sheet. You never listened to the CEO saying we need to fix the balance sheet, and you never read a 10Q where they tell you about 50 times that they need to raise money. If you're just listening to the clickbait channels, I don't understand why this is happening. I don't, this is beyond corrupt. It's not corrupt. It's just basic math. It's basic math. And it's totally predictable. So you can decide how you react to that. We've been telling you for a long ass time what was going to happen. I don't tell you whether or not to buy, hold, or sell through that. That's not my job. I can just tell you what's going to happen from the company's perspective and what they must do, or we all get wiped out. And at some point we hit that sweet spot. What'd you call it, Mike? The golden pocket?
Yeah, some golden point.
Yeah, there's a golden point where the company turns profitable, and that risk of further dilution becomes minimized or nil. And if the box office continues to grow, or the companies reduce the debt to a point where they can book profitable quarters every quarter, now you have a different story.
I think we're getting pretty close to that, though.
I think we're getting close. I mean, I can't tell you how many quarters, but we're getting in the ballpark.
As far as I can see, I think we're trailing 12 months earnings positive in 4 to 6 quarters. I think by Q2, Q3, Q4, Q2, Q3 next year, we have a good chance of being trailing 12 months earnings positive.
Mike,
We got
Mikey,
two really bad quarters in Q1 and Q2 of this year.
Mike, can I ask you a question? What do you say, Mike, to the people who ask you, Mike, I didn't get in this for a recovery in 4 to 6 quarters. I got in this for a short squeeze, and that fucking Adam Arno keeps diluting to raise money.
Well, I don't know what you want me to say to him. Just, you're an idiot. Like, hey, don't get me wrong. I've talked about this before. I don't get into manipulation or corruption and stuff like that. Like, I'm not stupid. I wasn't born yesterday. I understand there's manipulation and corruption out there. And if something squeezes to the moon at this point in time, that's a fucking bonus. Awesome. Thank you. But in order to make sure the money that I've put in and the money that I'm putting in now is safe, there has to be a fundamental basis behind it. And I think it'd be good for the community to wipe their collective memory of the past, look at where the company is at now, where it's going to go in the future, and make decisions based on that.
Which is why we talk about these financial statements every live stream, at least once a quarter when they post earnings, and maybe a bonus video when I predict what they're going to do. You must understand the financials, guys, because that's the safe way to play this. If you want to bet on a short squeeze or billions of synthetics, hey, knock yourself out. That, like Mike just said, that's a bonus. But at a baseline, you got to understand what's going on here on the financials, or nothing's going to make sense. And you're going to run through life angry and bitter and not understanding what's going on because you never took the time to see what's going on here.
So, Tony, I think that they get
companies
mad at
companies that go bankrupt on short squeeze.
I mean, you and I think a lot of people get mad at you and I because, like, I'll speak for myself. I'm not going to speak for you, but I don't hold this stock no more. I don't, day to day, I don't care what the stock really does as long as I can make money. And if that hurts your feelings, I'm sorry, right? But I'm in the market to make money. I'm not in here. Like, if you guys want to talk short squeeze and all that stuff, it has nothing to do with me. I'm not even interested in any of that. I'm just telling you how it is for me.
I'm okay with that, Mediocre.
Yeah, and that's great. And there's different ways to play it too. You can play it on volatility. You can play it on momentum until you feel like there's a turning point where you want to go long on shares, and that's completely fine. And for me, like, it's like I've been pretty honest about it. Like, I've been averaging in for a significant amount of time now. I'm not really playing volatility, except if I see some volatility, I sell calls to make premium. But outside of that, I'm collecting a position because I think, 2 to 3 years from now, I'm thinking hundreds of % from where we are. And that's how I'm playing it. And I think that's a pretty fair and reasonable way to play it. Maybe I'm missing out some options cash on volatility on the weekly or on the monthly, but that's comfortable for me with the time that I have to put in to watch charts and stuff like that. And to put into the spreadsheets and all that kind of work.
So let's talk about next week, because I think Mediocre and I both don't own any shares at the moment. Do you, Mediocre?
No, I don't.
So I sold for a nice profit on that run up to $12, and I've been trying to get back in conservatively. When I say trying, I could just take all my cash and buy shares. I know that, but I like to sell puts, collect premium, collect income, and if it drops to the price that I'm willing to pay, then I take the shares. But it just hasn't happened. And I tried it again this week. I made money this past week when I made money on Tuesday. I made even more on Wednesday when it dropped all the way down to 454. I was selling puts for even more premium. Thank you, market makers, or whoever sold. And thank you to the emotional people who thought it was going to $2. Thank you for buying my puts. I got your money in my pocket. Quit being emotional. You'll quit making dumb decisions like that.
So Tony,
I sold a $5 strike when it was at 450, 470, and I was hoping it would close at 499 or 501. because either way, I would have owned shares. I would have either let my puts exercise and take the shares, or I would have been willing to pay 501, 502 if it closed or was going to close slightly over. But I didn't pull the trigger at 518. And now I want to know from you, Mediocre, and you, Mike, what, based on this fantastic news, am I screwed now? Are we going to rock it up to $6 on Monday? What
I
do y'all
don't think so, but I wanted to tell you that I had just watched a video a little while ago. And in the video, it said something about if you sell puts, Tony, you're helping the short seller. What do you got to say to that?
How are you helping a short seller selling puts?
Uh,
It has
uh,
nothing to do with shares.
that's what I heard.
Options don't affect the share price.
But anyway, my thought is, I'll just be honest. Like, I'm waiting to find out what happens with this earnings call. I understand the box office is great this weekend. I get it. I'm waiting on that, and I'm also waiting on the fact that we could be heading into another strike.
Another strike? What are you talking about?
The writer strike?
That's 20. You talking 2026?
No, I'm talking about the plumbers and all those people.
I know that got resolved.
Did it? When did that happen?
Last night at midnight, my friend. You need to watch. You need to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications. I already did I did an update video about that earlier today already. Our prayers were answered when I woke up, Mediocre. The first thing I saw was a tweet from the local 399 that they signed a deal at midnight.
See, that's information I did not have.
Yeah, that strike
just
is
as a guy
done.
who deals. Yeah, just as a guy who deals with trades
So what
unions, I
happens
know
then
we're
tomorrow?
all gun shy because we just came out of writers and actors strike. There's a lot of posturing and a lot of last minute deals that get made whenever there's union negotiations. It didn't make me too nervous, thank goodness. But that's very typical within union negotiations when you're dealing with trades and stuff like that. Everyone's posturing, everyone's trying to get the best deal. They're showing their members, look, we're fighting for you. There's a lot of politics and nonsense involved in that kind of stuff. It'll happen again in 3 years from now.
Richie Rich, we're going to get to the stock split, reverse split discussion in a minute because I want to put these goofballs balls in a vice because they're misquoting me. But let me take Muner's question first. He says, is there a link to the Discord? I just signed up. First of all, thank you for supporting the channel and supporting common sense education on how to play these stocks and others. And I don't know if you guys saw the post that I put on Twitter or in my community tab. We had a Discord member that said they just turned $2,000 into $19,000. And I think this Discord is helping people. And we're not talking about billions of synthetics. We're talking about how to identify good stocks, how to identify a good entry, and how to identify a good exit on a lot of stocks. I know you guys see me talk about AMC a lot here on YouTube because there's a lot of misinformation from the clickbaiters. And I think you guys need real information, but we're playing a lot of different stocks, some short-term, some day trade, some swing trade, some long-term. And congrats to that Discord member, 17,000 profit.
Before you continue on, I want to get back to.
Let me just tell Muner, thank you for signing up. And in every video description is instructions. You just got to link your Discord settings, synchronize them to your YouTube name, and wait a few minutes and you'll have access to the Discord. They sync up automatically, but you got to go into your Discord settings and tell it your YouTube name. That's all you got to do. Discord is free to anybody that's supporting the channel as a member of the channel, not a subscriber, a member. That membership helps offset the time that I'm putting in to put out the educational material and all the tools that I use to provide you guys that material. Go ahead, Mediocre.
So Tony, I just want to talk about you and I being in cash real quick, and do I think we're screwed or any of that? And the answer to your question is no, I don't. So for me, it's quite simple. If we get a break above $5.70, I'll buy some call options. If we don't, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to sit here and twiddle my thumbs. Maybe I'll sell some puts. Maybe I won't. We'll see what happens. I'm kind of on the fence about exactly what I'm going to do, but those are my thoughts.
I'm still on the fence too. We went over the AMC supply and demand zones on the chart, the stock chart last night in the live stream. So if you didn't catch that, I don't want to repeat it tonight. Go watch last night's live stream and just fast forward to the part where the AMC chart's up there. We did it for GameStop and AMC swing trade analysis, and where we think it's people are likely to buy, people are likely to sell. And if we break through that upper zone, then it gets really interesting to Mediocre and me to play it for bullish momentum. Or if it drops down to demand zone, that's also interesting to us. So that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, just for a different perspective, like I said, every couple of weeks with little investment money I put aside, I add shares. I just continue to average in as long as the stock price is under what I think is going to be a price that in the next 2 to 3 years beats the market. And to make a little cash on the side when I see volatility to the upside, I sell covered calls out of the money. Like I think I was selling $20 covered calls for about 20 cents each. Last month, I sell the monthlies usually, and that's just generally how I play it. And I use that cash to buy more shares. So
I think that's actually a reasonable strategy, especially down in this price area, Mike. I mean, if we truly believe that the box office is going to dramatically improve to 10, 11, 12 billion over the next 2 years, and the company doesn't massively dilute, I mean, you could have a little more dilution, but if there's not massive dilution from here, you're going to see a considerably higher stock price than where we're at right now. So I think your strategy, based on what you've told me about your beliefs, sounds pretty reasonable.
Well, even if you adjust your spreadsheet and put 550 million shares in the bottom, say it's all completely diluted out. It's like, look at your EPS and look at the multiples.
I know.
You're still in a pretty good spot from here.
I might do a video about that. I've had a few people ask, Tony, can you tell us based on reasonable earnings, say in 2026, what's a reasonable price? Yeah, I can. I've already forecast it, but I just get tired of the sniping from the trolls and the haters. So they're not going to get that info. You want to get that info, join the Discord.
So I get dilution matters for swing trades and for getting the best entry and market dynamics. But I think in my position for a long-term hold, I keep an eye out for it, try to have a little cash available in case, a stock price drops on some sort of dilution announcement. But for the most part, I don't really care one way or the other. If we start having earnings calls, we're like, oh, we need to authorize more shares and this and that. Then I start looking at things a little bit differently. But where it's at right now, that's kind of where I've made my decisions based on. Right?
We had Sparky and May on a couple nights ago, and I know, Sparky is a professional in the bond industry, not trading retail stocks like this. He doesn't work on Wall Street or anything. But I think he has a little bit of concern.
Everybody needs to watch that. Yeah.
He has a little bit of concern about potential future dilution, but he's also been very clear saying if the numbers keep on improving like this, that risk goes down. The better the box office gets, operational profits, positive operating cash flow, you're not burning cash, that risk of future dilution decreases every quarter. So we'll see. I can't tell you guys if there's going to be more dilution or not for sure, but I do agree with the general assessment that if things keep improving, that risk gets less and less.
Yeah, I remember him talking about that, and anybody that's invested in it should watch. That's like, I want to thank you and Sparky and May just face to face about that, because those are probably some of the most educational YouTubes you run. I've learned so much about what people think, because I really don't. Those are phenomenal. Those YouTubes, I watched all those, and those were so good.
I've never been a bond expert. You guys have heard me say that. In 30 years of investing, I've mostly avoided buying bonds, but I have had to learn more about it through the last couple of years of paying attention to AMC, and I learn more about it every day. And as I'm getting ready to take the Series 65 test here in a couple months, I'm gonna learn even more about it, because guess what? There's a whole section on bonds. And there was on the SIE test I took last year too, but this one's going to be more in depth. It is important to understand how the bond market functions and how the AMC bonds relate to AMC stock, how bond traders look at the stock, and how it all affects the debt restructuring too. So I'm thankful to those two people. I like to, have it's nice to have some people way smarter than me in those niche areas that are willing to contribute their time.
Yeah,
and
it's
help us all learn.
I appreciate
May
it.
really knows her stuff. I've seen her go through a bunch of tweets outlining AMC fundamentals and talk about bonds. The fact that my numbers seem to be in line with hers is pretty freaking cool with somebody with that kind of experience. And she said it herself, the bond traders have capitulated. Those bonds are all trading up. The bankruptcy risk on the bond desks is minimal. So now it's just, where does the box office end up? It's kind of like the final hurdle, right?
Lewis says he just mentioned my primary concern, authorization of additional shares. I can't tell you, Lewis, I don't talk to anybody at AMC. And half the time, even if I email them with a question, well, probably 70% of the time, they don't answer me because they want you to read the filings. That's really all they can say. They're not allowed to say more. So most of the time, even if I have a question, they don't answer me. No one knows if we'll get more dilution other than what is officially announced. But should you be concerned about it? Sure, I think you should have some low-level awareness that potential exists. But if you're seeing the quarters getting better, I worry about it a lot. I sold my stock in March, a day before the dilution, because I was running the numbers, and I'm like, they're going to fucking dilute.
I'm still mad about that, Tony.
And Mediocre said, Tony, you're crazy. I'm telling you guys, if I was super worried about it, I'd tell you.
What a kick in the nuts that was.
I'm not saying I'm ignoring it, but I'm not super worried about it. It exists as a possibility. Yes.
I think you have a good strategy there, Tony. I think, if you're seeing the box office and we're over 2 billion, we're over 2 billion, we're 2.3, we're 2.5, we're 2.6, maybe we'll have a 2.1 or 2.2, and it keeps going like that, your risk is pretty low. But if you start seeing some low box office coming in, AMC is going to burn some cash, and that's, you made the good call there. And I think that's a real good way to watch to see whether more is going to happen or not.
That's why I said in tonight's video that I published just before we came live, I want you guys to watch box office. I want you to watch revenue. I want you more to watch you're probably not running spreadsheets like I am. Tune into this channel. I'll give you some cash burn or cash income analysis on the last month of each quarter and let you know where I think we're going to be. That's what I did in March. And I should have made videos about it, but I'm just tired of the sniping from social media, people that don't like my information because it doesn't confirm their bias, negative or positive, whatever. So I just share it in the Discord. My Discord knew about it. Mediocre knew about it a week before the dilution.
We talk about it every day, you guys. Every fucking day.
Yeah, and so I run my own independent spreadsheets, and I know one other person on Twitter runs analysis. I'm sure a lot of people at AMC are familiar with them. And just to tell you, my numbers and Tony numbers and his numbers are like within $10 to $50 million of each other on billions of dollars of revenue. They're like everyone's, and they're all built independently. So everyone's on the same page. Tony knows his shit. His numbers are bang on.
Anya says, I can't really think of any stock that Tony has discussed that has not gone up.
Anya, thank you for
I can't either,
calling
Anya.
me out.
There might be one, but.
And you're welcome, by the way, Anya.
Let me refresh my drink, guys, and then we'll get into this reverse split nonsense. Hang on one second.
You know, the one position that I'm really jealous of Mediocre that Tony's got is an IMAX at 15. I think that's a fucking killer position.
That was a good call, but yeah, I couldn't. Here's the thing: I've been making so much money on AMC. It's hard for me to pull my money out.
First of all, I want to say, to the dipshit YouTubers who made videos last night, when we put out 2 solid hours of information and education to help you guys make profitable trades, for them to clip 19 seconds out of context. I don't even have words. Like, there was 2 hours of information you could have shared to help your audience. And instead you decide to clip something out of context and try and make some hit piece on me. Like my audience gives a fuck what you think. Mediocre, do you want to set up how we eased into that reverse split conversation in the first place last night? We were talking about GameStop.
So what exactly were we talking about at GameStop?
We were talking about their large float in the dilution.
How their float. Yes. How their float, because of that's what happens. Every time you get diluted, your float gets larger. This is what we were talking about, float size. This is how the whole thing came up. So just what happened with AMC. AMC's float grew. Every time the float grows, the stock moves slower. It doesn't move as much, right? It takes more pressure to move the stock up or down for the stock to move, and it just gets really, really lazy. And
that was how the conversation started. Like, we really don't know that GameStop is going to be able to run like it did in the past because they keep on adding to the float. Exactly. And it takes it. You got more share liquidity out there. It's harder to push the price up as the float gets bigger and bigger. That's how the conversation started. First,
that was the conversation.
Now, let me ask you guys, and let me ask the dumbasses on YouTube. Do you guys look for low float stocks to squeeze? Or have y'all ever told your audience, let's find a low float stock because it's more likely to run? Have any of y'all heard that in the audience before? I know I have. I hear it every day.
Absolutely.
I see it every day. I see it every morning in the pre-market runners.
Does everybody know who Ross Cameron is? I mean, he trades that way every freaking day.
Companies with low float and low price, especially combined, get run up easily because you have low share liquidity, not a lot of shares out there. And if people are holding them, there's less available to trade, and the price gets run up, sometimes hundreds of %.
Supply and demand, Tony.
So I want to ask you guys, do you agree or disagree that low float stocks are easier to push up? That's the first question. Before I even get into explaining the second part of this whole reverse split bullshit, would you agree? Tell me in the comments, agree or disagree. Low float stocks get pushed up easier. I need some people to answer in the comments.
I mean, you already know my answer.
I already know the answer. I want some audience participation here.
I hear you.
Come on, you lurkers, you little trolls. If you're not blocked, answer the damn question. I know Anya agrees. I'm waiting for the lurkers, Anya. The people who have the fucking nerve to try and make some bullshit video about me. Do you agree or disagree that low float stocks push up in price easier? because that was our thesis last night, why GameStop is going to have trouble running. Their float is growing. And then I segued into what I recall someone else talking about last week. And I don't remember where I said it, if it was one of y'all in the comments, if it was someone in the Discord, if it was Twitter. It might have been Mike weeks ago. I don't fucking even remember, but someone said, what if at some point, and you can go find other people talking about this on Twitter. I didn't just make this up. This is not my talking point. I was relating a story of something that I read or heard, people saying, what if down the road, Adam Aaron reverse split the stock to shrink the float? Could that make it more squeezy down the road? Absolutely. Because we just all agreed that lower float stocks squeeze easy. What I said last night is down the road, when the company's profitable and we don't have to worry about dilution. Reverse splits don't kill a stock. That is already a proven fact. Dilution kills a stock price.
Absolutely.
If I could
Dilution.
add something in there, Tony.
Yes.
Every company that's publicly traded has more authorized shares than are traded. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to dilute because they have more authorized shares than are traded. So if AMC got to a price of something wild like $100 a share, and they did a 4-for-1 to make it more appealing to the retail investor, that would not be a bad thing, and it wouldn't be like, oh my God, he's going to dilute us again.
Mike,
it wouldn't be a bad thing, and it wouldn't be a good thing, Mike.
Yeah,
Mike, exactly. That's what's funny about it is that they brought that up, and it's to me, what it does for the company though. This is the other thing they said though. They said it doesn't help the company. It only helps whatever their crazy talking point is. I don't want to get into it, but the fact of the matter is, when you do a reverse split, it helps the company because they get more shares back. Where if they did need to dilute, not that they're going to.
I'm not talking about a reverse split because I want them to have more shares to dilute. I would only be in favor of that if I'm talking about a couple years from now when the company's profitable and we don't have to worry about dilution.
Lower the float.
Yeah, it could be something they do to lower the float and push the price up.
Absolutely.
I just floated it as an idea because someone said it and I thought it was interesting. We're just having a conversation. It's not a talking point you're going to see me rally around or push for. But so stop with the fucking clickbait videos.
But Tony, you're right.
You guys have the nerve to ask me to unblock you, and then you make bullshit like that. Fuck off.
But Tony, here's the problem. They don't understand what reverse split actually means.
I know they don't. They don't understand that reverse splits don't hurt a company and forward splits don't help them. How'd that forward split help GameStop? It didn't. Drove the price down. It didn't drive the price down. Fundamentals drove the price down.
Exactly.
When a reverse split happens,
missing is.
Go ahead.
The important thing that's missing is the context, the reason why the reverse split or the forward split's happening. So if you have say AMC 5 years from now, box office is killing it. They're making 12, 13 billion a year. They're making money hand over fist. They do a reverse split. Within that context, there's no risk of dilution.
It's a non-event. It's a non-event other than reducing the float, which could reduce the share liquidity, which could be good. But the funny thing is, companies, big companies like AMC, they actually like larger floats. They like more share liquidity, in my experience.
But Tony, the reason why they have those comments, though, if you think about it, their whole thing is because of the conversion of reverse split, which they can't comprehend that reverse split had nothing to do with it. It was the freaking dilution that killed the stock price.
I know. We have a fundamental misunderstanding from these people. I'm going to be nice, that they think the reverse split had anything to do with it. It had zero to do with it. It was the dilution that pushed the price down. And I did a video a year ago showing you guys 30 stocks that did reverse splits. Half of them have gone up after the reverse split when they improved their fundamentals, which is proof right there. The video's still up. Go watch it. I pulled every company that has a market cap similar to AMC. Many of them went up after the reverse split once they improved their fundamentals.
But Tony,
nothing to do with it.
But that's the context, though. AMC did a reverse split because it needed to offer shares to survive and not go bankrupt.
It did the reverse split because you needed to dilute, and that was telegraphed by the company. And if you don't like dilution, you should have got out.
Exactly. And
the reverse split had nothing to do with it, other than to facilitate
what we were
the
talking
dilution.
about last night, Tony, is the simple fact that in the future they could do that and it wouldn't affect the stock, because why would they need to dilute if they're profitable? That was the whole conversation.
Which company, Mediocre?
When you said that, what you were referring to was when AMC is profitable.
When they're profitable and we don't have to worry about dilution. That's what I said. Yes.
Exactly, because in that context, reverse split does absolutely nothing.
But these guys need to clean their ears out, Mediocre, because they didn't hear that part or they clipped it out. I don't know. I didn't even watch their videos.
Yeah.
I saw that they made them, and that was enough to. I already know their talking points. They're not too bright in understanding what a reverse split is and the difference between that plus dilution. And clearly, you don't want to be. I can't tell you to buy, sell, or hold, but I'm gonna tell you I'm not gonna hold through dilution. You have two evidences from me now. Tony, August of 2023 and March of 2024. I don't hold through dilution.
Put up Artwork's comment because they obviously don't understand that there was an arbitrage play again.
I'm having trouble seeing the chat where I can post the comments at Mediocre.
Oh, it's at the top.
I know, but it's not showing where I can.
He says, I disagree with the notion, Tony. AMC's price stock was being aggressively lower before the reverse split.
Because they knew it was going to be diluted.
Exactly.
The company telegraphed it. They said we need to raise money. That's why we need to do this reverse split conversion so we can collapse the share structure and have new shares to issue. That was well telegraphed.
This is why we talk about it, because it doesn't matter. AMC had no shares to dilute into the market. That's why they needed to do the reverse split, so that they could get the shares to dilute into the market. If we know that, the shorts know that. And that's why they drove the price down before they drove the price down, before the reverse split. Of course they would do that. They're trying to prevent that from happening, right? You got to think of both sides. We look at everything. I can't even believe we're having this conversation. It's a freaking stupid argument. Reverse split has nothing to do with dilution. They're two separate things. You could dilute you could do a reverse split on a company and not do dilution. It's not going to affect the stock. Period. Just price.
I don't know if Ethan, are you mad at me for what I'm saying right now? He says people have been hurt and are sensitive. Why do you feel the need to justify? Are you talking to me or someone in the comments, Ethan? I mean, I'm being attacked and people are misconstruing what I said, making videos about it. So I'm going to re-explain it a little bit slower for the ones in the back, because I'm sure in these people's videos, they did not provide the context. They just, they want to talk trash about somebody who's successfully making money in this play and doesn't agree with their billions of synthetic narrative.
Here's the problem that they don't understand, Tony, and I'm just going to say it. What happens when AMC gets to 550 million shares, right? They're all out, and they have no way to do anything. Do you think Adam Aron's going to want to sit there? No, he's going to ask for more shares, or he's going to do a reverse split. Regardless if he dilutes or not, that's going to happen.
Every
You may not
company
want to talk about it.
publicly traded has more authorized shares than that are traded. So even if AMC is profitable and they're making money hand over fist, they don't need to dilute. He probably would still reverse split if all the authorized shares were gone in case another pandemic happened. So they have the tools they need to operate the company.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. It's common
Yeah,
sense.
I mean,
Context is important.
we're telling you guys
Context is
this
important.
we're telling you guys this very clearly right now. If you see the point where AMC has issued through ATMs or debt for equity, they're starting to push up to that ceiling of 550 million. We're at 361 right now, plus a potential another 92. Let's call it 450. They've only got 100 million left. So let's all pray together that we only have profitable quarters going here forward, or that they feel comfortable with their cash. Because if they feel the need to issue more shares, or if they must issue more shares to pay off debt, and you start pushing on that ceiling of having 550 million issued, Mediocre, what's going to happen again?
Repeat what you're
If
asking.
AMC gets to the point where they've issued close to 550 million shares,
Well, they're going to either ask us to extend the float to 600 million or something like that,
a
or
billion, I'd say a billion.
whatever they decide. I don't know what he's going to decide, right? Or he's going to say, well, we're going to do a reverse split. If you say no, he's going to do a reverse split.
He doesn't even, he'll get enough votes, Mediocre. I mean, they changed the
he will.
Delaware law last year. They could reverse split very easy if they wanted to. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. I'm not
Do you think that
advocating
they're
for
going
it.
to try to operate and have no shares on hand if they need them in case something bad happens? That's never going to happen.
I just want to be very clear with you guys.
The
If
whole
you start
point
seeing
of
that
having
float,
a publicly traded company is to be able to go to the public to raise money.
right?
That's
If
the
you
whole
need
point.
money, you're in the stock market to raise money. That's why they're public.
But if AMC is profitable and they're hitting that ceiling and they do it, you don't have a risk of dilution, although every fucking clown on Twitter is going to tell you AA is going to dilute.
Exactly.
Context matters.
It's
Why
what
is it
the
doing it?
book says.
What the company's balance sheet says while they're doing it, all that matters.
That's right.
And if it ever gets to that point, why are they doing it? Is it to help the shorts? No, it's to avoid Chapter 11. Because if they get to the point where cash is getting drawn down, let's say all the next 4 quarters are bad, and we drop some from 770 million back down to 250, they're not going to feel comfortable with that. The lenders are not going to feel comfortable with that. There's 2 choices at that point. The lenders foreclose and force the company to Chapter 11, or they come back and say, we got to dilute. We got to raise more cash. So let's just hope all together and pray that we don't have to face that scenario. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of them
I'll tell you,
issuing that last 100 million. I'm not a fan of more dilution.
No, not at all.
so I don't think it's going to happen. But say you have a scenario where Q3 and Q4 aren't good, and AMC's cash position at the end of Q4 is only like $400 million, and Q1's typically weak, they're going to fucking dilute. But like
Sparky, I see Sparky in the comments. Let me just say this real quick, Mike. And Sparky is correct. For institutions, and some of y'all might have seen this on your broker, when AMC drops under $5, from an institutional perspective, that is considered a penny stock. And so they feel a little bit of pressure to bump the price up through reverse splits if we get stuck below $5. That is a fact.
And if you think manipulation's bad when your stock's over $5, if you're a pig sheet, there's fucking manipulation for you.
I know the delisting fear is under $1, but from an institutional perspective, some of them can't own a stock under $5. That is a fact. You want institutions to buy this stock. You do. You want institutional ownership. You want to be in a position like Cinemark or IMAX where institutions are fighting to buy your stock, because that is your big money saying, boom, we're voting yes. We like this company. We're gonna buy it, and that will drive your price up with big buys. I want to see big institutional support.
I think it's coming now. We got to be getting close.
We're getting close, Mediocre.
And the thing that made me really kind of like hop over that edge too was May. She's like, the bond traders have capitulated. They know this company's not going anywhere. You just need to see a little something out of the box office the next 3, 4, 5 quarters, and you'll start seeing it.
Hey,
price will get marked up.
Sparky, just an aside, I don't know if you have access to your email, but I shared a document with you for a video that I'm publishing tomorrow. And since I'm not a CPA and I'm not a licensed financial advisor, if you could just read that over, make sure I didn't make any critical errors. It's our next installment in the educational playlist here on the channel. Return on equity discussion. And this is going to be particularly important for GameStop investors. If you're wondering why your stock is going to get beaten down, go watch the video I did yesterday on book value, and watch the one that's going to be posted tomorrow on return on equity, and then watch the one later in the week on return on assets. You're going to understand why GameStop has a $14 price target. It's all going to start making sense. Doesn't mean that you can't have a different price target. You can have whatever price target you want. But if you want to understand how Wall Street's looking at it and why $4 billion cash on the balance sheet is irrelevant to them, you're going to want to watch these videos. The one I put out yesterday, the one coming out tomorrow, and the other couple coming out later this week. Artwork says, what was AMC's price right before the reverse split? 40 or 50? I forget. Do you guys remember, Mike or Mediocre? I don't have.
It dropped pretty hard. It was in the 30s from what I remember, and then it dropped. It like tanked sub 10 pretty quick, like within a couple days.
But I mean, let's be fair. The price was still overvalued at that price. From fundamental analysis, from any Wall Street analysis, the price was overvalued. So they already wanted to push it down. The dilution gave them the knowing dilution was coming, gave them the extra willpower, justification, peace of mind to short it. It was an easy play for them. I know that's a bitter pill to hear, bitter pill to swallow, but that's facts.
Yeah, I still certainly struggle with that. The whole idea of it being under or being at fair value now or undervalued.
I know you do, Mike.
Imagine the market being forward looking, and I've always had that opinion that it's like, sure, if you're looking ahead 2 or 3 quarters, maybe AMC is the proper value, but to me that doesn't make sense.
They're not looking ahead 2 years, Mike. That I can tell you that. They're even like GameStop. I think the potential for GameStop is much higher than a $14 price target. Clearly, they're analyzing over the next 12 months. And
yeah, well, the reason I say this because like it's like you go into AMC and you go into like the forecast and speculation, right? Well, like I said, there's us 2 stupid retail guys that can estimate AMC's earnings within a couple percentage points on a quarterly basis. And then, like, the movie industry is a mature industry, and I'm sure you can kind of price in some risk. Well, how much have things changed with COVID and streaming? But industry analysts, they know roughly, like, some movies flop and some movies overperform, but they know roughly what the box office is going to be in 25 and 26. And they know what AMC's earnings are going to be as a result of those box offices. So that's why in my head, it's hard to reconcile.
I know. I think they're being foolish, Mike.
Yeah. So maybe it's a bit of an imposter syndrome, or maybe we've just found some alpha here and we're talking about.
Or maybe they're just not willing to. They're not willing to forecast out that far, and they're taking the safe play and saying over the next couple quarters, we still have risk with the debt, yada yada yada. The box office isn't certain till it's certain. I think they're doing the safe layup, Mike, and we're as speculators willing to speculate based on watching this very closely every day, which they're not. Let's be fair.
Yeah, they
Lauren
can't be,
says,
especially with that Eric Wold there. Yeah. Or
I
his name
think
was
we
that
have a
day.
much better pulse on it than they do, honestly. Lauren says GameStop's chart shows it's about to explode. Lauren, I'm just going to respectfully disagree. I'm not going to argue with you. I've seen other people make the same argument. We covered GameStop in last night's live, including our about a 5-minute walkthrough. I did a short video also. Go check my shorts tab on my channel yesterday. Why I'm not convinced that it's about to explode. But I'm okay being wrong. I'm okay. If it explodes, I'll be buying. And if it drops, I'll be buying. I'm just not willing to buy right here. Is that fair?
What did I miss, Tony? What are we talking about? AMC?
Or just bouncing around AMC and GameStop?
What are you talking about?
I want a really safe entry, Lauren, on GameStop, or I want to buy in momentum past the supply zone. And that's what we talked about last night. I'm okay. I just paid $29 for it and sold it on the run to 60. So it's not the price, but there was momentum in that run. I don't mind paying 35 for it if I think it's going to 60. But right here, this is not a slam dunk that it's going up. Maybe it will. It's cool with me if it does. I don't hate GameStop. I just hate overpaying for something in an uncertain zone. And for me, I see uncertainty.
Yeah. So I'm not much of a momentum trader or a swing trader, but even I have a couple hundred shares of GameStop to sell covered calls for the premium, because the premium on those shares is insane.
That's not a bad play. If you own GameStop, you ought to be selling covered calls to lower your basis and make some money while it's just.
Yeah. So I think I got a whole bunch in somewhere around
tacking.
like
That's
23
the word.
or 24. And then I just been selling cover. Like I think my price now with all the covered calls I've sold on it, somewhere around 17 or 16. And I just keep doing it on monthlies. It's the premium on
You're better off than most GameStop YouTubers, Mike. Let me say that.
Small
your cost basis is well below most GameStop YouTubers, because you're doing the smart way of trading. Anya says Tony is a bottom feeder, and I don't mean lobster.
Oh, sorry, Tony. I sent you a link to that guy, the Entertainment Strategy Guys blog, who talks about how streaming performs versus theatrical and which ones do better. I'll send you his in a second too. So when you get a chance, take a look at him. Really good data. I appreciate it.
Yeah. There's a couple people on Twitter that seem to have a really good pulse on the box office, and I wonder, I want to know, where are they getting their inside information? They have numbers long before I do on box office.
You know what? I think it's just a mature industry, and I think guys they take in data, they watch trailer views, they watch social sentiment, they look at how similar movies have performed in the past. They have like a little formula or algorithm, and they're pretty good at predicting how things are going to open. Sometimes they surprise the upside or downside, like movies do well or movies flop, but it's, they've got it down to a science there. There's lots of data on
it. Teja says, on a fundamental level, theaters need to improve their infrastructure, mainly screens, to give larger than home experience. Yeah, that's a challenge as the industry matures. People want a more premium experience, right, Mike? They want the premium format screens. Those always sell out first. They want the big
luxury seats.
You're going to see more investment in that, but we're at this stagnation point where companies are reluctant to invest capital at the level they should. I mean, for the past year or two, they've barely been investing capital to just keep the air conditioners running. But I think you see more upgrades to theaters as the box office starts improving.
Yeah, it's COVID, man. Like the movie industry got hammered. No one's got the money to spend for capital upgrades. But if you look at the IMAX earnings calls, they're like 300 or 400 installations behind. They say in the US there's about 150 to 200 more IMAXs. IMAXs make 4 times the dollars a regular screen does. And the nice thing about AMC in terms of CapEx is they spent so much CapEx in 2017 to 2019. Most of their theaters, a lot of their theaters are with recliners and are only about 5 to 6 years old. So they don't have any massive CapEx coming up for the near future, right? They're taken care of other than growth CapEx, which might be putting in 50 more IMAXs over the next 3 or 4 years.
I'm pulling up the AMC chart because I still see people asking questions. It looks like in August, post reverse split, we were at $45. So I forget. I think AMC was, what was it trading at, Mediocre? Like $5, and we were buying Ape like around what, $1.90? Do you remember what we got Ape at? That super cheap price you got?
Oh, yeah, we were trading it around.
I think when
$1.60 was trading around.
I think I remember selling my AMC around $8 and moving it all into Ape when Ape was super cheap.
We sold between $8 and $5 AMC before we went into the Ape.
And that was almost at the last minute. Like that was the last big divergence before the arbitrage play really came together. Just before
Ape was as low, trading at under 70 cents. Like I remember even like I never did the arbitrage like you guys did, but I was heavily buying Ape and got sub $1. It was crazy.
Ape was such a great buy.
Did you get in under $1, Mediocre, on some of your Ape? Was that day that the decision came out and it artificially dropped?
Yeah.
The wrong decision.
Uh-huh.
It went under $1, didn't it?
It did. And I was quick because you were still reading the file.
I know. I was reading.
It was kind of shocking that it happened, but you know the game. They like to play the game. I appreciate you, Tony. Don't worry about it.
I still came out okay, Mediocre. I would have liked to have it as cheap as you guys did, but I took one for the team.
On that one,
it was $1.63 at the time.
Yeah, it was a weird thing. I remember it was like trading at $1.30 for like a month, and then it like marked up and it was trading like at $1.60 for a month, like within a few pennies, and then it went to $1.80, and it was like these levels it was trading at. I remember seeing it back then.
I was trading the hell out of it then too.
Those were some funny days because on that day that people misunderstood the whatever paperwork came out of the court, for a moment Ape went down and AMC went up. They're like, it's squeezing. I'm like, no, it's not squeezing. That's a little bit of arbitrage reset. And then they figured out what the paperwork actually said, and they're like, nope, fix it back. And that lasted what, Mediocre, about 60 seconds?
Yeah, it was. I got lucky because I was already in my screen to trade when that shit went down. Because if I wasn't in the screen, I wouldn't have been able to do it.
That was not a squeeze about to pop off. That was just some arbitrage unwinding. And then they're like, oops, nope, that wasn't correct interpretation. Reset the arbitrage.
Some people will still tell you that there was no arbitrage play.
Well, some people are dumb, Mediocre. they right before they split, they ended up at the same price. That was definitely arbitrage. Right before they converted, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what other questions y'all got? Wolverine, Deadpool, forecast for worldwide box office. I'm seeing numbers between 1.2, 1.5 billion. Does that sound realistic to you guys? That should be what, Mike?
Barbie,
around 400, 500 million domestic?
Well, Barbie was about 1.4, and that was 630 million domestic, and Deadpool and Wolverine opened up higher. So I think you could see 300-400 million domestic just in August for Deadpool and Wolverine alone as a carryover.
Man, if we do 500 million on this movie, I'm gonna bring a bottle of champagne.
Well, superhero movies tend to have bigger drop-offs, and Barbie was kind of a cultural phenomenon. So I don't know if it'll do that 630 that Barbie did. It did have a bigger opening though, so there's definitely potential for it.
Thank you, Hallie. I'll check that out. Anya says, isn't SoFi down because of concerns with the Canadian bank? I don't know the answer to that question, but I have a lot of catching up to do on SoFi. And I owe you guys a video on that. If AMC would just slow down and let me, first of all, I've got now 7 hours of studying on my Series 65 that I'm behind. So I've got to fit that in on top of the 7 hours I have scheduled next week. So that's 14 hours of my week just to stay on schedule. So please, AMC, can you just chill out for a couple days? No new news. Just let us chill till August 2nd. That'd be nice. And Artwork says, best case scenario, when do you think we see AMC firmly back in the $10 and above range? I think if you start seeing multiple quarters in a row with positive earnings, you'd need what, Mike, to get a $10 price? You'd need about 50 cents annual positive earnings to get a $10 stock price?
Yeah, you'd be looking at
say a PE ratio of
$200 million.
A PE ratio of 20, you'd need 50 cents of annual positive earnings to see a $10 stock price based on just normal, no squeeze, just regular Wall Street doing their thing.
And that's a domestic box office of less than 11 billion, and that's tickets sold of less than $1 billion. So that's like 80% of the pre-pandemic numbers. So
with
even if it leveled off there,
with AMC being volatile, you could have a run to $6, $7, $10 based on any sort of weird unknown catalyst, roaring kitty. Who knows? Some news we don't expect from the company. I don't try and predict unknowns. I'm just saying based on the financials, if you saw a annual earnings, even a forecast of annual earnings of 50 cents, you could justify a $10 stock price as an analyst.
Next big catalyst is an Adam Aaron limited edition plushie.
We'll see
what was that, Mike?
These next 2 quarters.
The next big catalyst will be an Adam Aaron limited edition plushie that you can buy from AMC.
Anya says, when is your test? A week ago, Anya, I said I want to do it in 60 days. That's 60 days of 1 hour of prep per day. And I'm already 7 hours behind. So I've got to double up this coming week. So if you guys don't see me, I'll still be watching the Discord, but I need to sit here and not be reading AMC debt documents for 8 hours a day. I need to just trade on my screens and learn over on this one. That's what I need to do.
You got to delegate
how much
that
longer
to
you
Sparky
thinking?
and May and say, just give me the synopsis.
It's not that easy, Mike, because I'm not worried about all the math questions, stocks, options, bonds. Not too worried about any of that. That's about 2/3, maybe 75% of it. What's going to kill me is all of the regulations. They want you to know everything about every law passed regarding securities laws, and the most inane, nitty-gritty regulations about dealing with clients. And that is not stuff as a trader like you guys. I'm just a regular trader like you guys. That's not stuff I've ever had to learn. So I got to reread all of those SEC regulations. There's not books, but I mean, many regulations you must know. You must have them memorized because they don't ask easy questions. They ask trick questions, right, Sparky? It's not an easy test.
Yeah, deciphering legalese is not fun because lawyer jargon is annoying as shit.
I mean, there's all sorts of questions about what happens when they do an IPO, what happens when they do a secondary offering, what happens with options, what happens with the stock split or reverse split, bonds. I know all that stuff. The regulations is the part that's going to trip me up, if anything. Because I haven't worked in the industry. I have never had a need. I'm familiar with some of that stuff, but to commit it to memory, no. That's the bulk of my work.
Is there any purpose behind it there, Tony? Or like, do you plan to turn it into more of a business or just interest?
For fun, mostly, for maybe a little bit of added cred. I know, Mike, people say I don't know anything. I don't know what I'm talking about, even though I have a degree in economics, a minor in finance and banking, 30 years of trading. Somehow I don't know what I'm talking about. And I'm sure for those dummies, even when I pass the Series 65, they'll still say I don't know anything. But for the people that actually care on this channel, it's just one more, okay, this guy, he knows a little bit at least. He could pass a very difficult test that most people in the industry that are pros have to take. He knows enough to pass that.
I don't think I could do it.
I mean, if I pass that test, I could hang out my shingle and be a 4 flat fee financial, what's the word? Financial advisor. You can be a financial advisor with the Series 65. But I don't intend to do that. I don't have time and I don't really want to. But it's always available in the future as an option.
Tony, you got to run the wife out for a ride.
All right. I think we're about ready to wrap up. Anya says, can you remove the not financial advice? No, Anya, I can't really, because all of you guys, I don't know your portfolio. I don't know your risk tolerance. And I'm not really trying to provide financial advice on anything. I just tell you how I'm viewing it. And I always encourage you to do your own DD. And don't take anything I say for gospel. Take what is in the company's filings as gospel and learn how to read them. That's the best thing you can do for yourself as an investor. I'll put out educational videos to help you get there, but you got to make your own choices and stop listening to these dipshits that never talk about this stuff, because you're going to lose your money. You're going to lose your money. Artwork says, Tony, in your opinion, what is the advantage of being short AMC right now? I don't know.
There isn't.
No advantage of being short. This is in my opinion, a very safe place to go long and a very dumb place to go short on AMC.
That's my opinion too.
You'd have to be really bearish. You'd have to be really bearish on the box office.
You'd have to expect
your thought would have to be streaming
dilution
taking over and the box office is dying.
You'd have to
really
expect some massive dilution to be short. And the only way you expect massive dilution is to expect massive cash burn. And then you must expect the box office is not going to meet my expectations, Mike's expectations. That's why I say you guys got to make your choice. What do you think is going to happen with box office? That's how you trade it. If you think box office is never going to improve, go short.
Well, never mind our expectations, Tony's, but there's like Hollywood analysts in the industry that I base my opinions on.
I know
where I got my information from. So it's like it would have to completely tank compared like by billions compared to experts in the industry who've been predicting box office for years and years and years.
My opinion is
that's what would have to happen.
Out of thin air, Mike. My opinion is, what's the word? It starts with a C, not collated. It's not collected. Anyways, my opinion
correlated.
Huh?
Correlated?
Not cultivated. It's a synonym to all those. Anyways, my opinion comes from multiple industry experts, CEOs, analysts, Hollywood reporters, people in the know. Uh, what the fuck do I know? I'm just like you guys, but I spend a lot of time collecting expert opinions. That's how I form my opinion. Co-founded, not quite collated. It's close to cultivated, but damn it, I'll think of it right after we end. Conditioned. They're all close. They're all synonyms for the word I'm thinking of.
Yeah, the only analysts that I see that are really kind of bearish are kind of like Wall Streetish guys, but people in the industry itself are like at what I think me and Tony and Mediocre are talking about for future box office or better even. So it's and like, you know, these guys are right within a couple percentage points, and they've been doing this stuff for 30 years.
Coconut.
So they know what they're talking about for domestics, right? Coconut. Yeah. There's the
Someone said, is that the C word? Yeah, I think these analysts, like Markets with May said, a lot of these analysts just, they don't pay attention as closely as we do, Mike. So we might seem overly bullish compared to them, but we're looking at this every day, and they're looking at 50 stocks. They don't have time to pay attention to AMC like we do.
Yeah. So when you talk about alpha, like, unless we're completely out of our fucking minds, I think there's alpha here for sure. And I think again, in my opinion, my mouth breathing opinion, I think AMC outperforms the market for the next 3 or 4 years, at least from where it's at right now.
I see a lot of good guesses on the C word. What the fuck? Anyhow, Mike, thank you for your time tonight. Mediocre, thank you. I know you got to run.
I do, but I just read Artwork's other question. I don't think that the short interest is super high right now. They don't think there's a lot of shorts, right? Like, we got pushed down the other day. But, you know, you're going to have, the stock always runs up too much and then pulls back, runs down too much and pulls back. You know, it always, what's the word I'm looking for, Tony? Oh, when it overshoots, you know what I mean? Like, people get overly bullish or they get overly bearish.
You get a market imbalance, Mediocre.
Right. And that's always going to happen, even in an uptrend. To just look at no stock just trades in a straight line. So you're always going to have people buying and selling and short, you know, taking advantage of the downside of a move like that or whatever. So I don't really think there's a whole lot of shorts involved in it right now, my opinion. But what do I know?
Mike, any final thoughts?
No, I think you guys got it covered all. Like I said, I think one thing, if you guys are long the stock, take a look at August, September, October, November, December in 2023, and take a look at the release dates for August, September, October, November in 2024, and tell me what you see. I think you'll see some positive things there.
Conspiracy, Tony says. Conspiracy, that's the word you're thinking of. Guys, 2 final thoughts I want to leave you with. Go watch Collusion Conspiracy. Yeah, go watch the short video on my channel on GameStop that I put out yesterday morning. Go watch the video this evening that I put out on AMC, Wolverine, Deadpool, crime, collusion, conspiracy. If you could do me the favor of watching those, that'll catch you up on my thoughts on GameStop and AMC. I put out a great video if you want to learn how Wall Street is looking at your plays yesterday on book value. There'll be one tomorrow on return on equity. There'll be some more later this week. And then we're going to wrap up all of those educational videos with a deeper dive of how the GameStop people are lying to you. And I will be wrong on GameStop if Ryan Cohen makes an announcement or Roaring Kitty makes an announcement. Then I will go long into the momentum, but I don't think I'm going to be wrong if that doesn't happen. You're going to see some bleed out on that stock. It might take a couple weeks. So I'm being my usual cautious self. I don't hate GameStop. I just hate overpaying when I think that it's headed down. So don't let these people tell you I hate GameStop. I don't hate any stock. Mostly the ones that I hate are the no revenue companies. The no revenue companies that I see people pumping, like a Mullen, for example. I hate those. Like, why would you buy a no revenue company? At least with AMC, I know it's risky, but I'm dealing with a company that has increasing revenues that is on the brink of profitability. We just got to get over that hump. So
Yeah, I'd say, as far as shorts, I'd say there's less shorts now than there was in the past on AMC. Would you agree with that, Tony? I mean, there's still shorts, obviously,
yeah.
but I believe they reset their position every chance they get. They just
And
try to be prepared.
I'm just going to say, I think, price wise and future wise, it's dumb to be short. However, Sparky has been trying to explain to me why, due to bond arbitrage, this new debt, the exchangeable bonds. One day I'll get it, Sparky. I'll get it to the point where I can explain it. But he said, I just want to share this with you guys. Don't be surprised if there's a little bit of movement in the short interest if AMC goes up due to some bond arbitrage thing that I can't explain yet. I'm working on it. When I can,
pay grade.
It's still above my pay grade. I'm just barely getting there on bonds. Now he's trying to help me understand bond arbitrage. When I get there to a point where I can explain it to you guys, I will. I'm trying, Sparky. I'm
Sparky,
a little.
thanks for your
all I
insight.
heard was refinance, and I celebrated, and that's all I needed to know.
It's not a bad thing, okay? I think it's safe to say, Sparky, he's not saying this is a bad thing. He's just saying there's going to be players that are looking for an edge to make money, and don't be surprised if that happens. They're just playing the game. Doesn't mean they're betting against the stock.
I think that's what I think everybody's doing, Tony.
They're playing the game. You guys walked on the field. You better understand there's a game being played. The game is called making money. Wake up.
Every short's a future buyer.
It has something to do with the fact, Mike, that by owning those bonds that are exchangeable, they already got their buy locked in. They got their shares at $5.66. So as you start pushing up over $6, you might see some of them willing to take some risk going short because they already know they got the shares. Something to do with that. When I can explain it better, I will.
Well, I figured any sort of convertible would be like a short to midterm ceiling on the stock price. You might see let's
just say it benefits all of us to get that shit converted, and we got to stop worrying about it
and just be done with it. Yeah.
But
I also think so if their convertible price is 566 and they just sold it, they're probably looking for a number that's higher than 566. I don't know what that number is, but
I think that's a given. Like there were people making videos last week, Mike, saying the new bondholders sold their shares and drove it down to 450. That's like the dumbest video I watched last week. Their conversion price is effectively 566. So these guys are making videos telling you they're selling it for $1 a share loss after they just spent 414 million. That makes no logical sense as a capitalist.
But if you take that information and you're selling calls, you probably can get closer to the money calls, understanding that there's going to be some sort of ceiling there short term.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we've talked about that already over the past week. There will be some ceiling as we push up over $6 where you should expect some exchange and conversion. And we're just going to have to suffer through that. Doesn't mean there's illegality. Doesn't mean there's corruption. Doesn't mean that they're shorting it. They took a risk. They took a risk giving AMC $414 million. They expect to get a return on that money, either by holding the bonds to expiration and collecting their interest rate, or converting them and selling them for a profit. They're going to get their money either way. And I can't tell you which way it's going to be, but if the price runs up, you can expect they're probably going to take their money. It's okay.
Yeah, even look at
that's debt off the balance sheet.
Well, look at CNK. CNK's convertibles are much lower than the price it was trading at, from what I understand. I thought that their CNK's convertibles were somewhere around $19 and was trading up at 22, 23, wasn't it?
They have a weird. They have some weird conditions, Mike, that it has to do with the price on the last 30 days of the quarter. That's why they haven't been able to convert yet. I could pull it up again and share it with you. I can DM it to you.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
I believe you. I do not want to become a bond expert.
I'm not
you and me for that.
I'm not buying Cinemark because if the price runs up at the end of the next quarter, there will be conversion and dilution. That's why I bought IMAX.
The whole reason I don't like Cinemark is I think it's closer to its future valuation than AMC is. I think there's a lot more upside on AMC than
absolutely.
There is CNK. Not that,
but AMC's riskier, but
yeah.
AMC's riskier, but the upside potential is dramatically more in terms of percentage gain if we're right.
Well, I was telling Mediocre earlier, I'm jealous of your IMAX position. I think $15 IMAX is a steal, especially based on their earnings calls and what they got planned and all the build-outs they got coming. I think that's a great price to be in there.
I think 24, 25, 26 easy in the next year, maybe 30. We'll see for IMAX. So that I'm hoping to double my money on that.
Don't have convertibles around 28.50 or something? Don't they have convertibles around?
No, they're over 30. They're over $30.
Or 30, yeah. No, yeah, I could see IMAX in a few years being in the 50s for sure.
And people said, well, how is IMAX doing so well and AMC's not? IMAX doesn't own 1,000 theaters. That's how. They lease equipment to people. What an easy business they got.
Yeah, they're asset light. Yeah, and when all the big studios are producing all these IMAX films, they're just making tons of.
They're leasing them the cameras. They're winning on both sides of the game, Mike. They lease the cameras to make the movies. Then they lease the technology and the equipment to the theaters to show the movies. They're in the catbird seat, man. As long as the industry is growing.
They do all the maintenance on the theaters that need the maintenance.
Yeah, they have maintenance contracts.
They
have maintenance contracts.
It's a good business.
My very first IMAX video, I went through all of that. I'm not going to do it every quarter, but if you really want to know why IMAX is different, go watch a year ago my first IMAX video, and I break it down. All right, gentlemen.
IMAX inside too.
Gentlemen, thank you. Mediocre,
thank you. Good night, everybody.
Take care of your wife. Ladies and gentlemen watching tonight, thank you. We love you. Good luck to everybody next week. I hope AMC soars up. I hope GameStop soars up. Roaring Kitty, please come back. Help us out. And we'll see what happens. Y'all have a good night.
Take care.
Good night.
Let's go. Yo, I'm like an addict, do I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it, fuse like a magnet. Lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket. I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move